on my feed here to make sure that everything is live and people can hear us, because we always have a technical issue. But luckily this week, the guest was prepared. He was here early. We went through a technical check-in. All my nerves kind of disappeared. So let me just make sure you guys can hear me as well. Natasha Stanley says hello. Hopefully Natasha can hear me well. There we go. That all sounds brilliant. So stage hypnosis is an amazing career. Hypnosis in hypnotherapy, all of these things, and it can take you around the world and take you to amazing places. Tonight's guest has one of the most fantastic stories about where hypnosis has taken him. He started doing stage hypnosis in the 1970s, in schools, colleges, that type of market, and then went really into the hypnotherapy side of things, and that really did take him around the world. So let's have a look who we've got here. Roy Miller says, hi, Grant. Hello, Roy Miller. Thank you for tuning in this week. Natasha Stanley says she can hear us, and Natasha is now talking to Roy. That's absolutely fantastic. So have your questions ready. This is a truly special show this week. I'm going to play this little graphic, and then afterwards, please welcome Larry Garrett. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, please have your questions ready, and welcome the infamous Larry Garrett. Hello, Larry. How are you?
Good evening to you. Good afternoon from me, Grant. It's so nice and exciting to be here.
It's great to have you here. Whereabouts in the States are you at the moment?
I'm in Illinois, in Chicago.
In Chicago.
My home, Alabama.
Oh, brilliant. I must admit, it does sound like it's got a bit crackly. Hopefully we can figure that out a little bit. What was your first experience of hypnosis?
Well, I was, it's about 1968, and I was in Arlington Heights, which is a suburban community near Chicago, and I was interested in astrology. So I went to an astrologers conference where there were going to be a lot of astrologers talking about the planets and sun signs, and they had a hypnotist there doing a stage demonstration. So as he proceeded to hypnotize people to do something silly like getting stuck to a chair, forgetting their name, I said, that's a crock. I don't believe in that stuff. And of course, as any good hypnotist, he picked up on me that I was one of those skeptical individuals and probably a very susceptible person. So as he looked at me and he said, hey, why don't you come to my class, no charge, be my guest, and I'll teach you more about the hypnosis. And that was my addiction, my beginning of my addiction. It's like the first time you do a drug that you like, and all of a sudden you're hooked. I was born again.
Absolutely. It's one of those that for me, the more you learn about hypnosis, the more you want to learn. And it's something that just becomes a lifestyle and a passion. But for you, very much so. What was it like the first time you hypnotized somebody? What was that? I mean, I know what my first feeling was like. What was that like for you?
Well, you know, there's a twofold there. The first time I was hypnotized was a lot different than the first time I hypnotized somebody. But my original instructor's name was Fred Shavel. And so Fred had originally hypnotized me in his class. And I sat there very skeptical with my eyes closed saying, I'm not hypnotized. I hear everything he's saying. And of course, we all know that story. As I opened my eyes and I'm thinking nothing happened, I'm wide awake here and I heard everything he said. And then all of a sudden, I realized there was something going on. I could go lengthy into that, but basically what he had me do was say to me, when I opened my eyes, I wouldn't be able to say my first name. So when I opened my eyes, I was waiting for him to ask me what my name was, and he walks away from me. Well, none of us like the feeling of somebody walking away from you. So I sat there waiting for him to come back. About 20 minutes later, he says, by the way, what's your name? And I said, my name is, and nothing came out. And of course, the class started laughing, and I tried it again, and I became frustrated, but I became convinced. And the first time I hypnotized somebody, your original question, I was a student now, maybe about my 4th or 5th week. By the way, the class that I took originally in 1968 was 1 year long, and we'd meet every week for 1 year. I felt that was an extensive training, but that was his style. So one day, some visitors came to class, and one of the visitors wanted to be regressed. So Fred, my instructor, points at me and he said, "Oh, Larry Garrett over there, he's an expert at regressions." I didn't know anything about regressions. I didn't know what to do. But I had watched him many times. I watched other students. So I proceeded to hypnotize this person. All of a sudden, all the students are crowding around. And this man goes into a past life, and his personality changes, his voice changes, his accent changes, and he goes to Monroe, Louisiana. So the story he shared was incredible. And of course, that really excited me about the potential. I want to use a better word, the power of hypnosis.
Yeah. Natasha Stanley says the best way to learn anything is to just do it.
Just
and
do it.
Roy Miller says, he says hello.
Yes, thank you, Roy. Thank you, Natasha. You're right.
Yeah, it's. I think it's one of the things, especially in modern training courses, is where you can get in there, and it is that experiential learning. You learn by actually doing it, and I suppose that is the best way. And fascinating that you talk about the past life stuff. I was talking to a friend. I've got the Search for Bridie Murphy, which was one of the first books I kind of read on that past life regression stuff. Susie Lawrence says hello as well. She's runs a hypnotherapy school over here in the UK.
Yeah. Hi, Susie. Boy, isn't this magical that you could sit there in the UK and speak to me thousands of miles away? I'm going to plug my headphones in and see if I cut out a little bit of that feedback.
Fantastic.
Or not, but I'll be able to hear you better. How's that? Did that cut away some of it?
We can still hear a little bit of an echo.
Yeah. Okay.
If you turn your sound down, that might help.
Okay.
That's even better.
Headphones. Okay, I'm back with you.
Yes, brilliant. There we go. Charlotte Colombo says, Buonasera, Dr. Garrett. And Richard Cole says, well, I'll just say hi from Canada. Hi, Richard. Richard's a great hypnotist as well. So
I see a friend of mine. Carlotta from Italy too.
Yes. How amazing that, like you said, from around the world, Italy, Canada, and from North Lincolnshire.
Yes.
So tell us about those early stage shows in the 70s. How was that for you?
Okay, well, there was everything in my life is a gift, Grant, and I believe in manifestation. I believe in creating and desiring. So basically what happened was I was eventually kicked out of my instructor's group because I was a little bit fast. So I went up and down one of the streets in Chicago that had all the clubs. And I would stop in the clubs and I'd say, I'm a hypnotist and I'd like to hypnotize some people here. Most of them, of course, would laugh at me. I was 26 years old. What did I know at 26 years old? And this one guy says, okay, if you could hypnotize me, you've got the job.
Brilliant.
So I proceeded to hypnotize this person. He was a big guy. His name was Rocky. And we extended him across 2 chairs, as many hypnotists in the 70s and 80s did. I don't recommend it now. Somebody's back might break. We didn't know much then. And we took photos of him with a Polaroid camera. And when he was all finished, he opened his eyes and he says, see, I told you you can't hypnotize me. We proceeded to show him the photographs. I got the job and I worked there 21 weeks at $25 a show. Brilliant. And we would fill the lounge every evening because people wanted to see this thing called hypnosis. And from then on, I was fortunate. I created an agency. I didn't mean create. I mean, they found me. Yep. And they began to book me around the country. And at that time, we had 3 hypnotists traveling around the country. One is still with us, James Mapes. James Mapes was one of them doing the shows in the schools, and so was I. And then there was a man called Gil Eagles. Gil Eagles used to do a mentalist routine plus hypnosis. Yep, that's right, Natasha, $25 in those days. I would do 2 shows on the same night for $35. But if you go on Google and you look at 1970, $25 was probably the equivalent to $150 or something. So it was big money for me. You know, whatever I was doing for a living then wasn't paying me $25 for an hour. So I did about, I did till 1989, from 1970. So I did 19 years of stage hypnosis. And my armpits would always be wet and soaked, you know, and you always had that anxiety. I hope they respond. What if they don't? And of course, I have many stories and experiences of what they did and didn't do. And eventually I said, if I could sit behind my desk and create the same thing, I'm going to do it. So I've been sitting behind my desk since 1970 and 1989 full time. Nice. And I love it. I love what I do now.
I must admit, I always, I mean, I'm predominantly do stage stuff these days, but I always kind of say, you know, hypnosis is hypnosis, whether you're performing it on stage or whether you do look into the therapy side of things. It's, you know, it's we use hypnosis and demonstrate its power. And I think a great example that you gave there about how you tried to get a booking and the venue owner was kind of going, well, hypnotize me and show me what you can do. And hypnosis is one of the few crafts where we can do that. And impromptu demonstrations are a great way of getting bookings. So,
you know, excuse me, I just make a quick comment, Grant, and say to you, I admire a stage hypnotist, because the clinical hypnotist could say, oh, you're resisting, you're not following my instructions. But when you stand in front of an audience and say, on a count of 3, you're stuck to the chair, and the person stands up, you're pretty embarrassed. And I have a story of that. I was working in a club. I didn't like clubs so much because most of them were alcoholics and drinking, and you know, it was different. And I learned a skill. The skill I learned was the last suggestion is the strongest. And how I learned that was I always liked working with selective amnesia. So I said to the group, I said, on a count of 3, when you open your eyes, you'll be stuck to the chair. On a count of 3, opening your eyes, remembering nothing. 1, 2, 3. And they all stood up because they didn't remember me telling them stuck to a chair.
I love how
I always remember that story. Last suggestion's the best, everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Anna says that she loves seeing you, Larry. Anna's a great hypnotist as well. I believe in Seattle. Anna, is that correct? I can't remember.
New York.
Yes, and Anna does a great thing, or she did it at the beginning of lockdown, which was hypnotherapy in nature, which just looked amazing, to be fair. So what?
Anna, I want to tell you, Anna, I love you.
Anna's got the most amazing accent as well.
Yes, she does.
Yeah, absolutely.
She teaches me a lot.
Yes. So obviously you have some great stories, and stage hypnosis has done some stuff for you as well. But on the therapy side of things, you really kind of took that and done some amazing things with that. Tell us about, you know, your path that took you from the 1970s working in the clubs to Baghdad.
Well, I opened my first office in 1970 in Chicago. In 1970, people were not involved in hypnosis as they are today. 3 times my neighbors called the city of Chicago to give me a violation for practicing witchcraft. Yes.
Wow.
So the city would come and say, we have a report you're practicing witchcraft. Can we examine your facilities? But of course, look at 1970. You know, we had things hanging from the ceiling. We had crystals. We had lava lamps, you know, we had the big hypno discs swirling around. So we looked kind of weird anyway, but it was great.
It's not changed much from the 70s. I think a lot of hypnotherapist offices are still like that today.
Yeah. Our place is pretty professional now, though.
Yes. I think
on my website, you'll see photos of our office.
Yes. I think the office looks amazing.
Thank you.
I'll put up another link to the website there as well. So that's the Garrett Wellness Center.com. Hilarious and scary. Yes, it is. So you were practicing in the 70s. Your neighbors thought you were into witchcraft, and where did it go from there? How did you what were you doing? How did you get noticed as a hypnotherapist or a hypnotist? How did you promote that?
You know, Grant, I'm going to say to you, the greatest gift in the world today is being interviewed by you and having many hypnotherapists listening in And not that I know everything, but I've been around the block a few times. And the metaphor of around the block in our country means every time you walk down the street, you see a building you never saw before. You say, oh, I never saw that building. It's been there 100 years. And I feel that's the way hypnosis is for me. Every time I sit down with a client, I learn something new. And so I don't know everything, but I sure learn. And one thing that I've learned is this. This is my 51st year doing hypnosis as a full-time living, 5-1. And when I sit with a client, they are the only person in the whole world. There's nothing about dollars. There's nothing about time. There's nothing about running late. There's only this person in front of me. And for 51 years, I've never advertised, and I never lack a full schedule. And I say never, that sounds like an absolute. I seldom lack a full schedule, and I have never hypnotized, I never advertised.
Yeah.
So I feel that's done because my consideration for that person is called love. And if I love the individual sitting there, you know, Oprah Winfrey has a friend, I can't think of her name, Angela something, you might know it. And she said, you will not remember what people gave you. You will not remember what people told you, but you will always remember how people had you feel.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how I have remained in business 51 years.
Yeah. And I think that translates to stage stuff as well. You know, you treat those volunteers as if they are friends, as if they are family, with respect,
Yes,
with love.
respect.
Yeah, and that will always pay dividends. Yes. Absolutely.
Dividends are right. You're right.
Yeah, there's so much, especially in this day and age as well. I think gone are the days of that dog eat dog, it's just business. You know, I think we are moving into a world now where things are more personal. You know, it is about intent, about doing more good. So absolutely. Yeah.
I would like to share a story of my mother. My mother is the person who motivated me to go into hypnosis full time. My mother and I had a nice bond, and I sound like a mama's boy, but I was.
We're all mama's boys at heart.
Yes. And she said to me one day, we were at a hypnosis meeting. Did you ever hear the Association to Advance Ethical Hypnosis?
Yeah, I believe I have, but there's a lot of associations.
Yeah, they're defunct now. But the Association to Advanced Hypnosis was a group of straight, very rigid, straight men. Love is the key, Anna. You're right. Straight men wearing their ties and having that hypnotic look. And I was looking around, and my mother said to me, by the way, my mother was a hypnotist also. She was a nurse, and she practiced hypnosis. And she whispered in my ear, and she says, don't compete with these other people, you will lose. Yeah. Just be the best Larry Garrett you can.
Yes.
And to this day, I choose not to go on other hypnotists' website to just check them out. But if a person says, will you look at my website and tell me what you think? With gratitude, I will go there. Yeah. But I wish not to wonder what other people are doing, because either I will feel inadequate because they're doing something better, or I feel like they don't know what they're doing because I'm doing something better. Neither is true. We're only doing what we know. And your statement about what we have today is so true. 30 years ago, Grant, hypnotists were very private. They were neurotically private. They wouldn't share their shit. I'm not going to tell you my techniques. You'll copy off me. That's changed. I love that. I'm not telling you what I do. It's my secret.
Yeah.
Take your secret to the bank with you.
Yeah, in the UK, it was like that. It is getting better. We look at you guys in the States, where hypnosis is so much more open and accepted out there, and the community is much more welcoming. So we're starting to get more like that here in the UK. So that's a good thing. But yeah, like you said, everyone was like, "This is my secret technique," and it's like it's the same technique everybody else is doing. So yeah, so it stops us all recreating the wheel.
Thank God for Facebook. Look at Facebook. You know, you might have 2,000 friends, 1,199 are hypnotists.
Yes.
Anna, you're right. That's a good phrase. Good phrase, Anna.
Now they share it, but it costs you thousands. Absolutely right, Charlotte.
Oh, yes, Charlotte, write to me, call me. I will share with you whatever I can, and it won't cost you a penny. And also, I might share anybody, whenever you're in Chicago, always stop and visit me, as I have a very unique system in my office. And it's an office that's been designed by me after 50 years of what's ideal for hypnosis and alternative wellness.
Oh.
So Charlotte, doesn't cost you a dime. Call Larry Garrett. He's there. I'm cheap.
Cost effective, not cheap.
Yeah, cost effective.
Yeah.
I've done well. You know, I have to share with you, Grant, is I've done well over the years. I was off for 13 months because I was healing from cancer. I went back to work about a month ago.
Wow.
So for 13 months, I did not work, and yet my office stayed open. Thankful to my office manager, Sally Walsh. She keeps things going all the time. And if you were to call me, Charlotte, you'd reach Sally on the phone, and Sally would talk to you like you were her best friend. And so that's the consciousness we live, the consciousness of love.
You know what? If you do everything you can with love, if you put that energy out there, then it is going to return itself tenfold. Richard Cole says, I want to live back 50 years ago. What a great mindset hypnotists had back then. So the book, Hypnotizing the Devil, I'm sure you've told this story many times, but for me, I find it absolutely fascinating.
Thank you.
So how did that come about? How did you get the call as such? How did you end up being an American in Baghdad at that particular time as well, which in and of itself must have had some strange experiences?
Yeah, you know, we said earlier when we started, Grant, that I manifest and create my consciousness, what I desire. First off, I'm going to say with jest, because nobody else was crazy enough to go.
Yes.
I don't really read the news much or watch the news on the telly. I just sort of live life. And people say, if you don't watch the news, how will you know what's going on? And I usually point at them and I say, you'll tell me. And so people will tell me what's going on. And I didn't know that Baghdad was prohibitive to be in by Americans. Americans had not been allowed to be in Iraq for 10 years since 1991.
Yeah.
And I had received permission to go to Iraq as the first American in 10 years. And I was invited by the former government, Saddam Hussein's government and family. And I was there twice. I was there in April. In fact, I was there on Mother's Day, and my mother was having a fit because I was in Iraq and I was going to get killed. And I was there again in September. So everybody knows where they were on September 11th, 2001.
Yeah.
I was sitting there watching TV with Uday Hussein, the most hated person in the world.
Wow.
And, so that's the book that I wrote, Healing the Enemy. Yeah.
An amazing, I say it sounds bad, but an amazing experience to be there and that. What, you know, you were there in April. So, I mean, again, we have this, you know, we kind of had this thing in our mind that, you know, the bad people are the bad people and we're the good guys. You were there in April, you went back in September. So they must have treated you well in April. What were they like as a people? What was it like I mean, what was, I believe he'd been tortured and needed some hypnotherapy to help with that. What was that process like?
Such a wonderful question. You know, I wrote 2 books on my journeys. The first book I wrote, Healing the Enemy, I wrote that book. It took me a year to write that book after I got back. And I wrote about how gracious the Iraqi people were. When I would walk past an Iraqi person, they would bow to me. What's that for? They're bowing to the guest.
Wow.
And their consciousness and their culture was to treat a guest better than a family member. I was invited to many functions. I saw things that Americans would never have the opportunity to see. If you read the book, you read about the Sufis who were able to create physical discomforts in their body without feeling it. I was able to go to the TV station in Baghdad. And all this was because I had been invited by the Saddam Hussein family to hypnotize Uday Hussein. Now, remember, his people did not like him. He was a hated man. Uday was. Uday was not able to go out on the streets of Baghdad alone without the concerns of being killed. The reason I was invited to go to Baghdad was because he had been shot with 15 bullets in his body, and the lower left leg had been shattered by bullets, and they reconstructed the lower left leg, and he would walk with a hesitation. They called the hesitation a stutter. So if you could visualize the feet walking, whenever he'd go to put pressure on his left leg, it would shake before he could touch the ground. So with hypnosis, with regressions, with suggestions, we were able to trace down why, because his medical staff said, thank you, Anna, his medical staff said, there's nothing physically wrong. This is in his mind, and we need a hypnotist.
Wow.
So the National Guild of Hypnotists is an organization that I've been connected with for about 32 years, and they received a notice to have somebody go to Iraq. And as I said jokingly, but maybe seriously, I do love. I love unconditionally. I learned that many years ago from an author, Ken Kais. And so I had no judgments. I had no judgments. One day, Uday Hussein said to me, how come you're not scared of me, Mr. Larry? And I said, well, I invited you to my house. Would you be scared of me? You invited me to your home. Why would I be scared of you? And he smiled and kind of chuckled, and he says, I like you, Mr. Larry. Everybody else is afraid of me.
Wow.
So I thought that was a compliment. I'm not sure, but I lived. And, after the war started, they invited me back again. But the FBI said to me that I could not go back because now there was animosity with, if you remember, right after 9/11, we began to blame Iraq. So there was animosity going on, and they said that I would probably not be able to return. So I never went back again after September.
Yeah, Charlotte says, must read that book. Imagine he'd be classed as a sociopath after watching Devil's Double, which by definition, don't think they need to change. I find it fascinating, the whole concept. It's a pretty unique situation, hypnotizing somebody like that. I'll bring up a link to the... that's the book on Amazon, where I believe you can get the Kindle edition at the moment.
Yeah, this one here is not as available. The best way to receive one of these books is contacting me. Do you have Healing the Enemy in front of you?
I've not got it on here, no. But can they get that from you?
Hold on a second. I'm going to run and get one. Hold on.
So yeah, guys, whilst Larry gets that book, what an absolutely fascinating guest, and what a great situation here he is.
Here is my love. Here is my love. Oh, there we go. Okay, here is my love, because this is my first book. Might I share a story, Grant, of what happened with those two books?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay. When I came back from Baghdad, I had 8 publishers interested in my story. When you have 8 publishers interested in the story, you sort of realize you have a good story.
Yes.
Well, what happened was, after the war began, because I didn't finish my book till about 2002, and when I finished my book, the war was beginning in 2003, and the government blacklisted my book because the book was, the Healing the Enemy is different than Hypnotizing the Devil, because Healing the Enemy is all about the people and the experience and what I did, and of course Uday. So American publishers would not publish my book.
Wow.
I had a couple of movie contracts. I had 8 publishers, and one day back away, say, can't publish it. You've been blacklisted. So a publisher in Canada gained an interest in 2012, and that was where Hypnotizing the Devil came in. Oh, I can't. You got to do this backwards. So Hypnotizing the Devil has a different energy, just like the title, does it not?
Yes.
Yeah. So my personality wants to heal the enemy. And the publisher's personality said to me, well, if you go in a store and you see Hypnotizing the Devil or Healing the Enemy, which book are you going to pick up?
True.
And of course, with Uday's picture on there, and Saddam. So he published the book, and we've had a lot of challenges along the way. And because the book, first off, is mostly about Uday, where the first book is mostly about the people, their generosity, their love, Uday's personality. I did no lying in the book. I was upfront.
Yeah.
But, somebody just mentioned something about, the devil's double. Yeah, horrible story. Horrible story. By the way, Hypnotizing the Devil is going to be a movie. We're stalling right now because of COVID. And I can't pronounce Mobina's last name, but she has a production. She's already set this up to go into production, but when the COVID stops.
Brilliant.
And we're kind of altering a little bit so we could make it more exciting. But that's why we have two titles. We have two stories, two books. I have sort of, I now own the rights for Hypnotizing the Devil, but I don't know what we're going to do with it. So if you want a story, by all means, send me a note on my email and I'll send you the book Healing the Enemy. Healing the Enemy.
Brilliant.
And somebody said something about the Devil's Double. If I would have seen that movie before I went to Iraq, I probably would have never gone to Iraq.
Yes.
I don't like to be influenced, and I don't want to be judging, and I don't want somebody to judge me. My life is good. You don't like what I'm doing, too bad. But allow me to share that I've hypnotized multiple murderers. I've hypnotized rapists, rape victims. I spent many years working with the local police departments, sharing with them experiences with hypnosis and a regression to remember details that were very horrid.
Wow.
I hypnotized a murderer in Chicago once. That was 1980 something, 89. Yeah, about 89, 90. And he killed somebody, but his mind drew a blank and he forgot that he killed a person. That's psychological amnesia.
Yeah.
And so in this killing process, he threw the gun down, ran out of the room. 32 witnesses saw him, and he remembered nothing.
Wow.
Grant and all the hypnotists listening, where better can you use hypnosis than a person with selective amnesia that can't remember a crime they just committed?
Wow.
No doubt that he committed the crime. There are 32 witnesses.
Yeah.
How would you feel, though, if you committed a crime and couldn't remember?
Wow.
Probably worse than if you remembered.
Yeah.
You might say, well, I don't want to remember that, but you probably do.
Fascinating.
And so we did a regression with him, and we got all the details. And you know what it taught me? I remember this is around 1989 or so. It taught me even a murderer has a consciousness. Even a murderer has an emotion. We need to stop judging people for what they do, who they are, and only observe what they're doing, because I think we all have the capacity of not being okay. We do. We choose by our subconscious mind to kill somebody or not kill somebody or rape somebody or not, don't we? So we as hypnotherapists know the subconscious mind.
Yes.
General society does not know the subconscious mind. When you talk to somebody about the conscious and subconscious, they don't know what you're talking about. You might as well be talking about physics. And so I guess I'm going to say to you, I like what Charlotte's saying. It's not for us to judge. We simply are the tool to achieve an end goal. Charlotte, I love you. Don't tell that guy next to you, but I love you. You're right. That is so true.
Yes.
We cannot sit there. If you were a surgeon and Uday Hussein said to you, could you operate on me and save my life? Would you say no? If you did, you wouldn't be a good surgeon.
Yes. Yeah. And you probably wouldn't live very much longer.
We need to realize that we are in a very special profession. You know how special we are in? We are in a profession that we dream. I was lucky. My first 6 years of professional hypnosis, actually from 1974 to about 1980, I worked alongside of a physician from the Chicago area who taught me skills that I would have never been gifted to learn. And in 1974, there weren't many physicians. There were 2 in Chicago that I know of at that time doing hypnosis. And I learned so much that we are available to share with people, but the society is not always ready to accept.
Yes.
Going through cancer healing I was at one of the greatest hospitals in Chicago, the University of Chicago Hospital, and these people treated me with such reverence, such love, such consideration. And in return, I healed much quicker. A common phrase was from the medical profession, at your age, Larry, it's going to take you a year or two to get rid of this cancer. 8 months, I was cancer-free.
Fantastic.
And I take that into consideration by what I've done. I'm writing another book, by the way, titled, What's That Bump? Some of you that are NGH members, I've been writing in the journal, but I'd be glad to send you the articles anyway if you send me a note. What's That Bump is all about healing with hypnosis, healing the body, not just the mind. So guess what? The University of Chicago Hospital now has gained such an interest in hypnosis that it has opened the doors to this professional area called hypnosis, of the possibilities of having a consultant who can teach these medical people about the mind.
Yeah.
So these medical mechanics know how to fix the body, but they don't always know how to talk to the mind.
Yeah.
And I have connected with some of these medical practitioners, and they are on our Zoom meetings. We have the Zoom meeting the first Sunday of every month. Again, if you have interest in connecting with me, I'd love it. And we have a group of medical people who've been joining. We have people from around the world who join us. We're on the first Sunday of every month, 1 o'clock Central Standard Time, and we share stories beyond belief. I welcome and invite any of you. Thank you again for putting my name up there, or my website up there. By the way, I'm not here to advertise. I've been here too long to advertise now. You know, it's almost like I'm only working 1 day a week. I used to work 5-6 days a week, and I'd see maybe 30, 40, 50 clients a week. I'm seeing 3 clients a week now because I love what I do and I don't need to make the money.
Yeah. And that's one of the things with hypnosis, and from a lot of the guests that we've had on this show as well, you know, people that do well within this profession are people that actually love what they do. And so it can't just be about the money with hypnosis, and those people that really love it are the ones that tend to be successful at it as well. And like you said, coming from a place of love, is it do no harm to others.
I'm glad, Grant, that you invited me to be on this production with you.
Oh, well, it's been an absolute honor to have you on here. So if you were to give a piece of advice to any of the hypnotherapists that are watching this, or any stage hypnotists that are wanting to kind of branch out, performing or kind of demonstrating the power of hypnosis, what things have you learned along the way that you think would help them? What piece of advice would you give them?
What a question. You can't really give people advice. You could live what you do, and some of them might decide to copy. So what I do, I don't know what you do. It's not my concerns, my advice. That advice is interesting. Here's what you should do. Anybody that uses the word should, I back away from. Should? Don't should on me. So what I would say is, what I do is this. I say to you, if I sold shoes, I would wear the best shoes in the store. I would not buy shoes from somebody whose shoes are scuffed or worn out. No. If I were teaching you how to play a piano, I better know how to play that piano good. So if you're going to hypnotize people and you do not use what you sell, you're spinning your wheels. You are spinning your wheels. You are not going to accomplish what you're looking for. You know, I don't count, Grant. I just allow. But I'm sure I've hypnotized many people over the years, and every one of them, part of my pre-talk is to let them know. One of the best things that's ever happened to me this past year during COVID is I was diagnosed with neck cancer. Best thing. Because by being diagnosed with neck cancer, I learned what most people fear. I learned what most people hate and don't want to talk about. Talking about cancer is not an easy thing to do. But as I say, for me, it's become so easy that I'm writing about it with joy and bliss, that by having cancer, I have now learned another skill. And when you sit down with your client, as a hypnotist, a hypnotherapist, and you even dare say to your client, Oh, I know what you're feeling. Oh, bullshit, excuse the expression. You don't know what they're feeling, even if you've been through it, because everybody's different. Listen to what they're feeling. Many years ago, an elderly man who was a hypnotist at the time, and just probably 30, 40 years ago, he said to me, never mind what you think will work. Listen to your client. They'll tell you what will work. So drop your ego, drop it, just drop your ego and just be the best hypnotist you can and love yourself unconditionally and practice self-hypnosis and quit telling people what to do. And here's a good example. I'm a nitpicker on linguists. I'm a nitpicker on language of saying, I'm going to hypnotize you to quit smoking. No, you're not. No, you're not. They're going to quit smoking. You're going to hypnotize them not to need to smoke, not to crave cigarettes. But you're not going to hypnotize them to quit smoking. That's going to be their choice. And when you see somebody and they didn't quit, you didn't fail. They chose to not acknowledge your directions. Or did you choose to say to them, I'm going to hypnotize you to quit smoking? And they said, well, I guess it failed. I didn't quit smoking. The hypnotist told me he was going to hypnotize me to quit smoking. Don't talk like that. Learn your clients. I hope that was answering your question. Absolutely. I get long-winded, Grant. You notice?
No, you know what I mean? This is absolute gold as well. It's great advice as well for everybody watching. And it's been an absolute pleasure. A genuinely lovely guy as well. Natasha was saying that as well. Refreshing and insightful. Thanks, Larry. I hate BS too. Charlotte says, your energy is amazing. So refreshing. Larry, everybody loves you, and that's because you give out love as well. So it is amazing. So what's next for you? I saw you were just recently at the Heartland Hypnosis Conference. Yes. Are you doing some more conventions, conferences?
Yes, I just did one last or 2 weeks ago. Also, Robert Otto's. I can't think of the name of it now. Hypno something, and then I have coming up. In August, I have the NGH, and then in October, I have the national. Excuse me, I got chemo brain. The Midwest Hypnosis Conference. Next week, I have a talk I'm doing at the Lighting House in Chicago area, but on Zoom. Because of Zoom, we have this great opportunity to share things we've never shared.
Yeah.
Again, I accept this. If you write to me, I promise I will answer. I have many manuals that I could send to you at no charge. I don't know how many of you are into pre-talk, but I believe in pre-talk with all my heart. I have a 50-page manual I'd be glad to send to you.
Oh.
I have a manual on smoking. I have a manual on regressions. And these are just things I've written. They're all about 50 pages long. So if you'd like them, no charge to you. He said earlier, I don't charge. I do charge. If you come and see me as a client, I'm going to charge you big time. But these are all my gifts to you. So you could either write to me at the Wellness Center, or you could write to me at LarryGarrett.GWC, Garrett Wellness Center @gmail.com. That's easy. LarryGarrett.GWC. And if you think of a topic, Grant, or your viewers, you think of a topic related to hypnosis or the mind, I probably have it. I've written about 200 articles. I've written 4 books, and my dream is to share my energies with people before I leave this earth in the next 20 years. I've got 21 years to go because I'm going to live to be 100 plus, and but I want to share. So here I am. Write to me. Call me.
Fantastic.
Do Zoom with me. I'm here.
Definitely. Well, I'll definitely send you an email myself because especially on the pre-talk one, I think pre-talk is what is one of the fundamentals, the most important part of the hypnosis ritual. You know, it's you get that bit right. The rest of it is the rest of it becomes witchcraft, or it makes it look like witchcraft. That pre-talk is absolutely brilliant. So I'll definitely be hitting you up for that.
Wonderful.
Larry, thank you so much for doing this week. It's been an absolute pleasure. And the guys, the comment section is just full of love for you. So do thank you very much, guys. If you are watching this, please do drop Larry a message, follow him on his socials, his social media, drop him an email. He's an amazing guy. Everyone is here now saying thank you, Larry. Effie Michaels, Larry is the best hypnotherapist I've ever known. Genuine, has a great energy. Linda says, I love you, my friend. Big hug to you. Charlotte Gill says, thanks and lots of kisses. Larry, you are probably my most loved guest so far in over a year. So it's a testament to how much you are loved within the profession as well.
Grant, and one of the reasons is I love you for having me share with everybody today. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Larry. So yeah, everyone's saying thank you. What a great interview. Larry, thank you for making me look good this week. So yeah, so take care, and yeah, I shall see you soon. Guys, thanks very much for tuning in this week as well. There's Susie Lawrence as well. Thank you for such a great Zoom session, and what a wonderful man. Absolutely, Susie. He is a legend. So yes, guys, thank you very much for tuning in this week. Each week we try and bring you an expert hypnosis performer, and tonight is going to take some absolute beating. So guys, thank you very much from me, and final words from Larry.
Thank you.
There you go.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Cheers, guys.